Welcome to the first in a three-part series for caregivers and professionals, sponsored by the New York City Department for the Aging, or DFTA. DFTA is a city agency of New York City that provides information, programming, and support to individuals over the age of 60, as well as their caregivers and professionals. DFTA's mission is to eliminate ageism and ensure the dignity and quality of life of diverse New Yorkers. We also offer information and referrals through the Caregivers Resource Center and fund caregiver service programs that support caregivers. We work to support caregivers through service, advocacy, and education by providing information and support to older adults, caregivers, and professionals. DFTA recognizes each individual's circumstances with regards to diversity and inclusion. DFTA accomplishes its mission of serving diverse communities throughout New York City through partnership with community-based agencies that specialize in the care and well-being of older adults and their caregivers. In this video, you will learn how to identify as a caregiver, what supports are available, and where to get help. You'll also watch a short animation on Terry, who is facing the challenge of caring for her mother following discharge from the hospital. She is arranging home care service so that her mother can remain independent. Her friend Betty is trying to help.
Hi, Terry. I'm so excited to hear your mom will be going home tomorrow.
Hi, Betty. Me too. Thanks for stopping by for support.
Sure. You seem worried. What's on your mind?
I'm not feeling very confident about taking care of Mom 24/7 because I don't know what services she qualifies for. I'm also not sure what to do for her once she recovers and wants to resume living on her own.
Do you have any experience with taking care of anyone before?
No, and I'm sure my sister, the nurse, will have plenty of criticism for me when she visits in a few weeks.
I can understand how you feel, as I too cared for both of my parents for years and often didn't know where to turn for help.
I know it's just something families do. Did you feel guilty asking for outside help?
Yes, but I eventually ran out of options. That's when I called DFTA's Caregiver Resource Center. They can refer you to a caregiver program for help while you are caring for your mom.
What's DFTA?
The New York City Department for the Aging. You can call 311 and ask for caregiving support to get connected to your local caregiver program and find information and support.
But I work and Mom isn't low income. Do we still qualify for help?
Anyone can get help. DFTA supports older New Yorkers and their caregivers.
That's just what I'm looking for. How do I get connected to help?
Easy. You can call 311 and ask for caregiving support to get connected with the local caregiver programs.
Did you know, as of 2018, there were at least 1.3 million caregivers in New York City? Who is a caregiver? Jack, who is responsible for his 19-month-old special needs granddaughter. Mike, who takes his neighbor Karen to the doctor's appointment every Wednesday. Nancy, who is searching for dementia care for her Uncle Joe. Next, let's hear the story of a caregiver, Cindy Merman.
Helen and I, my partner, who has dementia, we were caregivers. I'm a psychologist, she was a social worker. We had offices in Manhattan for 25 years. And as her memory loss progressed, we thought we could do this forever. We had to stop. And so we were doing okay, and we had planned for retirement, but everything for dementia comes out of your pocket. There's no Medicare coverage, so she got bad balance and she was unable to take anything but taxis, and the programs she goes to are not free. They're charged between $60 and $90 for a session. So we became pretty strapped, on top of the fact that she lost more and more of her memory and became a little more needy and clingy. It was like a life-saving, I was drowning and found some support. It's like oxygen. I don't know, it doesn't feel that it was a decision. I'm lucky that there was something there to keep me from drowning. And gradually having someone helped me not drown, and then realizing there could be someone to ask for help. I've gotten much better with asking for help and not letting a situation become too overwhelming. So that is a whole new part of myself. But it's taken me 4 years to get to a place where I'm more cognizant of the help I need and the balance I have to make in my life to be an effective person and an effective caregiver.
Caregivers are ordinary people who step up to care for friends, family members, or even neighbors they feel responsible for. They may be related to this person or not. Most of the time, they are not paid. Caregivers may or may not even live near the person they care for. They don't have to be legally or financially responsible. All caregivers have the right to ask for help. Sometimes they are in fact caregivers but don't realize it yet. Why is it important that caregivers identify as such? Meet Carol Levine, former Director of Families and Healthcare Project at United Hospital Fund. Carol will be sharing her expertise regarding the importance of identifying as a caregiver, how to develop a manageable hospital discharge plan, and how to access available services and supports.
For every caregiver, there's a different understanding of what it means to be a caregiver. And it can mean very minimal responsibilities, or it can mean everything, 24/7 for a long period of time. Basically, it involves doing everything that is needed for the person you're caring for, whether that's medical care, whether that's financial management, housekeeping, chores, shopping, meal preparation. It can run all of the things that need to be done. Many caregivers feel that if they accept the role of caregiver, they're going to have to do everything, and that's not really true. You have to set boundaries, and that's what caregivers need to learn. The role of the caregiver really includes making sure that the person who needs assistance gets that help, whether it's provided by the caregiver or by somebody else or by a professional. It may mean going to the doctor and sitting with the doctor and the patient, listening to what is being said so that you know what has to be done. It may mean, if you're living further away, it may mean having someone nearby check in, and then you check in with that person. So it's very flexible, and I think that that's an important message, is that you need to create a situation that you can manage and that you can get the help you need. Most people do not realize that they are caregivers. I didn't, and I'm in the field. So it's not a comfortable place to be, because in my case, I was a wife. In many cases, you're an adult child or a friend or a neighbor. And so you feel, if you say, well, I'm a caregiver, that puts you in a different category. And I always say you never lose the primary relationship to the person, but you take on responsibilities that involve caregiving. So it's a tricky change of identity, and I think some people are uncomfortable with it whenever it happens, and other people just accept it. Many people don't realize that they are caregivers because it's part of their culture, it's part of their family history to take care of each other, and so putting a special name to it. Some languages don't even have a word for caregiver, but it's important, I think, to accept that label, and it is a label, because that gives you a special status and a special recognition in the healthcare world. And if you can be just a visitor and nobody's going to talk to you, but if you're the caregiver, you have to know what to do at home. And so having that label gives you some power. People are reluctant often to use it or don't know they have it, but being a caregiver is a big responsibility, and they do find that the nurses, the doctors, if you say you're a caregiver, then they know that you need some information, you need assistance, and you are important in the care of the person. Being a caregiver presents a huge number of challenges. They're not all the same for every caregiver, but they do include physical strain, Caregivers are less likely to go to their own doctor, get their own checkups, do all of the preventive things they're supposed to do. They take very good care of the person who's sick, but they don't take good care of themselves. It can also be very emotionally draining, and stress is the most common symptom that caregivers report. Also, there's a financial aspect to caregiving that I don't think many people realize. And then because so much is not covered by insurance, and so you have to pay out of pocket for a lot of things. It's absolutely essential to have a post-hospital discharge plan. Of course, nobody wants to go to the hospital, but some hospitalizations are planned if you have a knee replacement or have some other kind of procedure, so it's going to be done. And generally speaking, hospitals are better at helping you plan for what's going to be needed afterwards. So that's not as big a problem as an unexpected hospitalization where there's a fall, or there's a heart attack, or there's any other kind of emergency. And then this is all so strange and also upsetting. Then the hospital is going to keep that person very, very long. So you have to be thinking, even when they're in the emergency room, are they going to be admitted? Is this person going to go right home? What am I going to do? And there are people in the hospital, social workers, case managers, nurses, of course doctors too, who can help you understand what it is you're going to be needed to do at home, what the medications are going to be at home, which may be different from what they were before, whether you're eligible, whether the person is eligible for home health care, other kinds of assistance. So I think we have to remember that leaving the hospital door, going out of the door, being wheeled out the door, is not the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a new phase of the story. And the caregiver really has to make sure that he or she knows what's going to happen. An important challenge that I think caregivers don't do well is to take care of themselves. And that's advice that everyone says. And let me tell you from my own experience as a caregiver for my late husband, it's very, very hard to take care of yourself when somebody else is needier than you and whose needs are right in front of you. And you have to say, well, I can't get to the dentist today because my husband is having breathing problems. Okay, which comes first, my dental exam or his breathing problems? It's always going to be the person you're caring for. But you do have to find a way to make sure your own health is not altered or is not hurt by caregiving. The best way to get in touch with DFTA is calling 311 and saying that you need help with a caregiving problem. And the DFTA operators have been well trained. They know how to listen, they know how to ascertain what the particular issue is, and they know how to direct that inquiry to the right place. Our website, Next Step in Care, is www.nextstepincare.org, and there are family caregiver guides on all the kinds of things that you need to know: hospital discharge, rehabilitation services, home care, a whole range, doctor visits, all of the kinds of things that can come up. So websites can play a big role, but in my view, when I developed a website, people are the best source of help. When you're someone who is listening to you, can ask you the right questions and get you to the right person for help.
Where can caregivers get help? DFTA's Caregiver Resource Center is ready to assist caregivers and professionals by offering information and referrals to community-based services. To get linked to a caregiver program, call 311 and ask for caregiving support. When you do, you'll talk with a social worker who will ask you a few relevant questions. And don't worry, the call is 100% confidential and no one will visit your home without your permission. In this video, you learned about caregiving, the importance of identifying as a caregiver, where to seek help, and how DFTA can connect caregivers and professionals to the appropriate services.